Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, those of you who have been following this program. We have been doing this now for quite some time. We spent at least several weeks on this show, and we will continue to do so for as long as necessary. I'm grateful to many of you that have been tuning in to this program. As I keep saying, without your engagement, this program would be nothing. What is making it something is because we are doing it together. Each and every one of you is contributing in his or her own way to this program. And because of that, I'm extremely grateful. Let me start by asking those of you who are tuning in to begin by sharing the program. Share it on your wall, share it on WhatsApp, share it on Messenger, so that other South Sudanese, wherever they are, may also participate in this program, and so that they have access to the message that we are sharing here. As I said consistently, this is indeed a program that we have been developing together. You are a significant part of what we are doing. And I'd like to ask you, each and every one of you that is tuning in, please be engaged. Share your ideas, share your comments. Let's have interaction. This is not just only about me, but it's about all of us together. Let's share ideas, whether you agree with what we say here or you disagree. That is okay. But let us have a conversation. We need to have a conversation in which we are able to express our ideas and our thoughts together. This is not just simply about me coming here to give a lecture. It is about us talking and speaking to one another. Those of you who disagree with us, we encourage you very much to express your disagreement, whether by writing or by making your own videos. And I want to thank those people who have also been making their videos. That is what we like to see. We like to have a conversation that is interactive, where South Sudanese people are expressing themselves. So thank you very much for that. Let me also start by wishing each and every one of you Happy New Year. I know very soon in some parts of the world, especially in Australia, in India, in New Zealand, people are already entering the new year 2024. Happy New Year, and congratulations for entering the new year 2024. 2023 has not been an easy year. This year has been very difficult. It has come with all kinds of challenges. And I like each and every one of you who is watching this program to congratulate himself or herself for surviving the year 2023. This has been a very rocky year, from issues that we have seen in our own lives, whether in our villages, in our counties, in our states, all the way to the capital, Juba, and beyond. There are a lot of South Sudanese who are celebrating this new year in refugee camps across Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, and even Sudan. I'd like to wish you Happy New Year, and I hope that the year that is coming now, 2024, we will be celebrating this year in our country. We will be celebrating it under a new political dispensation. That is a political dispensation of freedom, of real liberty that our people died and fought for so many, many, many years. We hope really you people, all of us, will have a better reality in 2024, unlike the situation that we have endured in the year 2023. The message I'm going to share with you today is going to be extremely short. I know this is not really a time for too much talking. This is because many of you are celebrating, you're spending time with family. There are so many things in which you are individually and personally engaged. So I'm not going to consume too much of your time. This is a time of festivity. It's a time of joy and excitement all over the world. So I'm not going to take too much of your time to consume your time by talking here too much. I just want to be able to express a few things to each and every one of you. Let me start by saying anything that happens in the life of a people or even a life of a person does not happen by accident. Of course, we believe in God, and God is the sovereign of all the human beings and all the different creatures that He has brought on the world. He is the sovereign of all of us. He's the one that determines what we are going to do to move things forward. But at the end of the day, as much as we pray and ask God to intervene in our lives, we know very well that nothing really ever changes in our lives unless if we personally and individually take action. This is the reality. There is nothing really that changes by itself. Everything requires action. And what we have been doing through this program is to build up awareness so that our people are aware of the challenges that are facing them, so that they are aware of all the different problems that have been created by the regime, all the divisions that the regime has created to prevent them as people of South Sudan to unite and think about their shared future. I want to say, each and every one of us, as we enter into the new year, let us think about what is it that we are going to do in our lives to change the reality that we witnessed in 2023. You know, in my part of the world where I am in today, in the United States of America, this is called a New Year's resolution. Each person is expected to have a resolution for the new year. This resolution is really about what is it that you are going to do differently in your life come the next year. Because we know everything that you have done in 2023. There are some things that worked very well. Those things you should continue to do them. There are things that did not work. And those things, we should think about how do we change them so that we do things that are likely to work and not simply to repeat the old things that did not work for us. What have we learned about the situation in which we are in as South Sudanese people? First of all, we know that the reality in which we live in today, like for example, if you go across South Sudan, many civil servants, many military officials, security sector officers, they are celebrating this Christmas and this New Year's without salaries since July. The last salaries that they received were the salaries of July 2023. Why? While at the same time, the oil is flowing. You not heard that the oil has stopped flowing. The oil is flowing. It is being sold. Money is pouring in. Where is that money going? We know that gold is being sold, is being exported. Every single time we know about this, and the money is coming in. So how is it that since July, many of you have not been able to receive salaries? I think the answer is very obvious. It's because of the enormous corruption that has taken place in our government, where public resources have been owned by a group of individuals that see the nation as their own, and they see the resources within that nation as belonging exclusively to them. This is a reality. It's not because the country is broke. How is the country broke when the country has a very small population? We have a population, those who are inside the country, based on the estimates, the entire population of South Sudan cannot be 12 million. It's about that. And if you take out the number of people that have been displaced, which is in the millions, it means those within the country are very few. And the country we have is a large country, about the same size of France. So how is it that the resources that we have in the country are not enough, to the extent that those who work in the government are not being paid? That is one. We know also many young people in the country have no employment. It doesn't matter whether you are from the rural areas or you are from the villages or whether you are from the cities, wherever you are from, or from the states. It doesn't matter. Many of you are without jobs. And the only source of job that is currently available is either you be hired in the security sector and be given a uniform and given a gun. And this is, by the way, a gun that is not actually used to protect the nation. We know this because the borders of South Sudan are being encroached upon. You've seen what has happened in the northern border. The issue of Biar has never been resolved since the time of independence of South Sudan. We know that the issue of Mile 14 has never been resolved. We are not even talking anymore about Panathau. That place has already now been taken by North Sudan. But where the problem really is, as we have found out recently, is what is happening on our southern border, where some of the borders, especially with Kenya and Uganda, have recently been annexed by Kenya and Uganda with the blessing of our own president, who, as the chairman, the new chairman of the East Africa Community, blessed a new map in which enormous territories of South Sudan were annexed to Kenya and Uganda. So you are likely to be employed as a soldier or as a policeman, but you are not there to protect the nation or to enforce the law. You are simply there to protect the regime, to protect the president and a clique of individuals around him who are looting the resources of South Sudan. So young people have no jobs. And without jobs, how is it that we are going to build a future in our country? This is the second reality that we are in. Third reality we are in is that all of you who are in Juba or in the States, you know very well the kind of businesses that are functioning. All the businesses in the country are owned by foreigners. And these foreigners are not just simply owning the investments in those businesses. They are the one working there. And they are bringing people from their own countries to come and do basic jobs that South Sudanese people have capacity to do. Why? It's because the people of South Sudan are not being empowered. South Sudanese are very productive. They're the most productive. We know from every experience that we have gone through that South Sudanese people are extremely productive. So then what is going on? What is going on? What is going on is that the country is intentionally being used by a few individuals that have access to resources and to power to only enrich themselves through the use of foreigners. They're not even capable of using their own people because they have no intention whatsoever. They have no intention whatsoever to build the capacities of their own people. And what is the most important resource that South Sudan has? The most important resources that South Sudan has are its people, the people of South Sudan. These are what make a nation. It's not just the land that makes the nation. Land is critical, but what really makes the nation are the people. And if there is no investment in those people, then there is no investment in the nation itself. So what we know is that over the last 12 years, it's going to be now 13 years of independence, we are not being invested in as people of South Sudan. Our capacities are not being developed. Our potential is not being allowed to thrive. This we know. And it's not because there is lack of resources. It's not because we are being colonized the way that we suffered under the Northern Sudanese regime for decades. It's simply because those who have been entrusted with power and authority in South Sudan have absolutely no intention to develop the people of South Sudan. This we know. It's no longer something that we are hearing or something that we suspect. This is what we know. There is deliberate intention to keep the people of South Sudan where they are, to prevent them from access to education, to prevent them from access to skills so that they may become productive. And if that is the case, if the land is being sold, the territory of South Sudan is being encroached in by foreign countries, if the people of South Sudan are not being developed, then what was the objective of our independence? What is even the purpose of having our own land? If our own home is only creating prosperity for others and not for its own citizen, then what does the future mean for the people of South Sudan? This is a reality that we know now. Fourth issue that we all know now as people of South Sudan, and this is something that is very, 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 very obvious, is we know that the government that we have that has been in power for the last 12 years has no intention whatsoever in seeking the consent of the South Sudanese people and in allowing the people of South Sudan to choose how they are governed. We know this because there has been no election for the last 12 years. What we have has been extension after extension. We have a country that is ruled by presidential degrees. Every single day at 8 p.m., people gather around the TV to look at the news, to see who is to be appointed, who is to be removed. That is it. The country has been reduced to psychopathy. This is the reality we are in, and we know this. We have been asking for elections for a very long time. And even now, as the president is talking about having elections in 2024, is the environment ready for election? Where is the security in the country? Are the organized forces unified? Are they deployed? Are they providing security for the population? No. And we know this because if you see what is going on in the country, South Sudanese people have been armed along their communities, along the ethnic lines, to kill each other. That is what is happening. South Sudanese people are busy killing one another. You know this everywhere, even in Warab State, where the president come from. The issue of Twij Mayadit and Dinka Ngok Abiy has been going on now for several years. A lot of young men have been killed. These are communities that are very linked together. They have intermarried for generations. Every single person on each side has blood from the other side, and this has been allowed to go on for a very long time, and it's an issue that could easily be resolved by the government, but the government absolutely have no intention to do that. In the state, what we see is the number of arms are pouring in into the communities. People are being armed to the teeth, and people are being allowed to kill one another. So this is the reality that we have. We have issues of insecurity. The country is completely not ready to hold election, especially with all these guns in the hand of the civilian. And recently you've seen disarmament in Juba. Why Juba? Because that is where the government is. That is where the president is. And he mentioned it very clearly last time that all these security forces that I have, I'm going to use them to protect myself. And any one of you that is not able to fight with whatever communities that are attacking you, if you are not able to fight, then you can run to Juba. Yes, you can join me. I may be able to protect you in Juba, but then don't call yourself man again. These are his own words. These are the words that he said. These are not words that can be made up. These are his own words. So he doesn't see the state security services as responsible for protecting the entirety of the population within the territories of South Sudan, but he sees their job exclusively as protecting him and keeping himself in power. So how are we going to have election if that is the mindset of those who are in power? And it's no longer a surprise that this has been the case for the last 12 years. It's going to be 13 years now, no election, no election. So, and the president considers himself as legitimate president of South Sudan. How is he legitimate? What is the basis of his legitimacy? He has never been elected by the people, and he has not performed. If you look at every metrics of performance, what has he done to consider himself as legitimate president of South Sudan? Nothing, absolutely nothing. And for him, he doesn't mind. He can continue running the country like that. And I predict, we are in the year 2024 now, I predict that he's not going to be capable of organizing election in 2024. There is no constitution. And it's very clear from the peace agreement that there is a need for a new constitution. And although people are making all kinds of rubbish arguments why the constitution making process should be postponed, suppose today we hold the election without constitution, right? And let's say even if President Kiir was able to be re-elected, but many of his governors are defeated, what is going to prevent him to use the same mentality of issuing presidential degrees, degrees to remove people? Don't forget, we used to have elected governors. In 2010, the election were held. It was during those same sub-regional election of 2010 when we were still part of Sudan that Kiir was elected, and there were a bunch of other governors that were elected. How many of those governors are still there today? I think the only one that is still there is Louis Lebong of Eastern Equatoria. The rest have been removed. Why? Are they the only one that has not been performing? Has the president been performing? But he managed to remove them. What does the Constitution say? Constitution say that the governors can only be removed after the state of emergency has been declared by the parliament. And then within 60 days, there must be another election. Has there ever been anything like that done? No. So it has no respect whatsoever for Constitution as it is. So if we are to do election within the current constitutional dispensation, What would prevent him from removing those governors that will be elected? So it's absolutely critical that we will have a constitution. Now, can you do constitution in less than 12 months and call it a permanent constitution? A constitution in which the people of South Sudan will actually weigh in? No. Also, we don't have census. We don't have population. And you saw with your own eyes the recent estimates that were released by the National Bureau of Statistics. Those statistics, I don't even know where they cooked them up, but they were cooked up somewhere. And after they were cooked up, you saw what the estimates were. Warab State alone was estimated to be nearly the same size in terms of population as the entirety of Greater Upper Nile. Let that sink in for a bit. Entirety of Greater Upper Nile, Warab State alone. The whole of Bahr Ghazal, was nearly 60% of the entire population of South Sudan. Are those estimates realistic? And are we going to use those estimates for the election? Then what is the point? What is the purpose? Are they going to be used for sharing of resources? Really? So my people, census is not there. How can we do election without knowing the people that will be there, people that will vote? We don't know the number of the population. And we know a lot of people are displaced. A lot of people are displaced, especially all over South Sudan. There are people that have been displaced by war, that have run to some of the southern countries, in Kenya, in Uganda, maybe to the east in Ethiopia. But there are also people that have been displaced by hunger, people that had nothing to eat and nearly starving, especially from the northern state, primarily from the greater Bahr Ghazal region. These people had gone initially to Sudan. And because of the war in Sudan, now they are coming back, and they are coming back empty-handed. They have nothing. They have left whatever little they had in Khartoum to return back to South Sudan. What is going to happen to these people? They're coming in now. The government is saying that it has nothing for them. But are they going to participate in the election? How do we even know who has an ID, who doesn't have an ID? We have a government that is simply dysfunctional. So is it ready to organize election? I don't think so. You have also, as we speak, lack of political space in the country. People are being detained over made-up nonsense that they're plotting a coup d'etat. And this is always something that happens. When the elections are close, then these rumors will start that there is a coup d'etat, somebody is planning coup d'etat, or the president is going to be, president is going to be attacked. And then he used this as a pretext to prevent election. This is how the war in 2013 started. And then the rumors, the fake accusation were made up against Dr. Riak, that he had been the one planning the coup, when it was very clear that the war was planned by the inner circle of the president as a delayed tactics to prevent the election from being conducted in time and to prevent the SPLM convention from being held, because it was very clear that the president did not have any support within the SPLM. So he used all these tactics as a way of preventing a transition to democracy. So we have a country that is being run by individuals that do not care about seeking the will of the people. People of South Sudan are being governed without their consent. It's as if we have become all of a sudden a kingdom, and the president himself is a king and is the one that is running the country. So this is a concern. This is a concern that we have. We also have a country that is being run through divide and rule tactics. These are the tactics that all the colonial powers that have governed over us, that have ruled over us, have used for decades and decades. This is what the Turks used when they were in Sudan. It's also what the British used when they were in Sudan. And it's also what the North Sudanese use. And we remember this very well because they used to arm different communities, convert them into militias so that they can go and attack other communities. And it's precisely what the current regime is using, divide and rule tactics. This is what they have been doing. And it's why people of South Sudan are not united. It is why people of South Sudan are being destroyed, and that is why they are being kept in poverty. So my people, these are the realities that we know. Now let me ask you, with all these challenges, what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently in 2024? Already, we have declared the year 2024 as the year of rebirth of South Sudan. We have declared it as the year of a new beginning, where South Sudanese people will finally seize the opportunity to determine their own future. Don't forget when we voted in the referendum in 2011, the idea or the exercise itself was called self determination. It's so that the people of South Sudan can determine how they move forward as a sovereign people. That is the whole thing. But there has never really been a real self determination. It was only that vote, and then a clique of individuals, especially those who have that have collaborated with the National Islamic Front in Khartoum, the NCP. These people are the ones that came in and hijacked the government of South Sudan because they have become so experts in psychopathy. They know how to worship dictators. They say, oh, Bandit, Zol Kabir, Janabu, His Excellency. Some of them they're so shameless that they kneel before the president. Some of them, they kiss his feet. They lie on the floor to say, you are the big man. We are your people. And the rest of us that came from the bush, we had no idea whatsoever on how to do that. So, my people, we are in this quagmire because the self-determination itself has not translated into reality. So how do we get that back? We get it back starting from you, what you are going to do as individual. And this is the whole purpose of this series that we have been doing. The whole purpose is to engage in a conversation with all of you so that we can be able to find our own footing. One has to be a complete idiot to deny that we have a problem in South Sudan. Even the Martograph admit that there is a problem. But one has to be a real idiot to say that there is no problem in South Sudan. Because everything that I just pointed out, they are all realities, and we all know them. So we have a problem. And where do we begin to solve this problem? It first of all starts with a conversation. This is what we have been doing online. But it should not stop online. Of course, I welcome each one of you to make comments, make your own videos. This is wonderful. But that should not be the only place where we are having a conversation. This conversation needs to go beyond that. You need to have conversation within your own families. If you are married, you have a conversation with your wife. You talk with your children. It's never too early to engage in political discourses with young people because we want a population that is aware, that is awakened. And you as individuals can begin that. If you're still not married and you are in your house, you can engage with your brothers. You engage with your sisters. You engage with your parents. Talk to your father. Talk to your mother. Talk to them about where the country is going. What are we going to do? Ask them. Ask your parents, what is the future for me in this country? Am I going to be another individual carrying a gun, either raiding cattle, abducting women or children, or protecting the ruling elites, the corruptees that are stealing the country? This is a question you should be asking. And let's have a conversation with them. Have a conversation with your age mate. Whether you eat food together, talk to them. Whether you are in a tea place having tea, or you are in a community meeting, have a conversation with them. What is the future? Because from conversation is where we begin to think, and as we think deeply about things, we begin to conceptualize how we are going to act. And that is what ultimately we want. We want to be able to act. The second thing is we got to be organized. This is the year we have been talking about. And what we need this time, as we build consciousness of the realities that are facing our country, is to then be organized. Only organized people can achieve anything. We cannot achieve much if we are just talking individually and each person is moving on their own. We cannot do much. What we need now is for us to begin to organize. And already we have places, and many of you that have been reaching out, you know that how we are beginning to conceptualize that. We want each and every one of you to be part of this. Ask yourself, what can you do? What can you do? Not what can be done to you, but what can you do? Because you are the source of every single meaningful action that can change our country. Not anyone else that will come and change this country. It's through your engagement, through your action, that this country can be changed. So you should begin to think about how do we organize as individuals. Politics is when individuals are able to come together and act in concert. That is the essence of politics. It's not seeking a position. That is not what a politic is. It's individuals acting together to address their common challenges that they face. And we have talked about them. How do we address the issues of employment? How do we make sure that South Sudanese people are productive? How do we make sure that South Sudanese people are secure? How do we make sure that we create systems and institutions that can actually deliver for the people of South Sudan? These are realities that we need to think collectively and find ways in which we can address them. And we can only address them if we, as people of South Sudan, are organized. Now, with organization, we will be ready for any kind of action. We will be ready for any kind of action. That is it. We will be ready for any kind of action. And I think once we are organized as South Sudanese young people, let us then think about how we are going to act. Now, as I said, we don't know if the elections are going to take place because the environment clearly is not ready for election. There is no political space for different political parties to engage. There is no constitution. There is no census. The security situation in the country is horrible. It's not conducive to election. The economy is completely in tatters. Many people are celebrating this Christmas season without salaries, basic salaries, and these are individuals that work for the government, leave alone people that now do not have jobs. So what does the future hold for them? What the future holds for them is that it's unlikely that the government will have resources to be able to fund this election. And I guarantee to you, without change, significant change of the behavior and how the government is behaving, the international community is not going to put any resources. The international community is not going to put any resources on the table and do anything to help the government do the election. In fact, starting January 1, all the donors have made it clear that they are going to reduce humanitarian aid. And this is because of the global demand on humanitarian aid all over the world. And South Sudan has been a recipient of humanitarian aid for nearly 40 years and is still a recipient of humanitarian aid, despite the fact that it's very wealthy with oil, with gold, with all the resources that are in this country. So it's unlikely that you will have any resources that come from the government. So election may happen or not. If the elections do happen, then we as young people of South Sudan, as I said, given the fact that we will be organized, of course, with the women and all the people of South Sudan that are ready for change, we will be able to contest these elections and ensure that there is a new change in the country. That is a clear number one option. Second option, if the election don't happen, then it's now up to each and every one of you to determine how you are going to act. Individuals sometimes can solve problems. Individuals can solve problems if they choose to act, if they choose to live for their nations and not simply for themselves. They can take mighty actions that can shape history and can shape how people are able to progress, how nations are able to move forward. And each South Sudanese person is capable of such an action. So if you are a soldier, of course, you have your weapon. Your weapon is a tool that can be used for change. So far, it has been used as a tool of oppression. But you have the ability within you to change and use your weapon for change, to create hope for the people of South Sudan. So think about how are you going to do that if you are a soldier? And what is the most effective way in which that can be done? It's only you who can determine this. I cannot tell you what you are going to do, but you as individual soldier or as an individual person are capable now of thinking in the ways that can allow that to become a tool of change. That is one. If you are a spear master, you can also do mighty acts. That is what people believe. So you can also do that. I know last time the tape, Degmalo, and all of that, that one is there. So you as individuals, think about it. What can you do as a individual spear master? If you're a bishop, what are you going to do? You have also the ability to act. And it's up to you to act in a way that can allow this country to have a change and to have a new beginning. Whatever you are, if you're a journalist, you have ability to act. If you're a teacher, professor at universities, you have a responsibility to build consciousness, to build people that are aware, people that are able to act in a way that can allow their societies and the nations to move forward. Every one of us has an ability to act. And this year, 2024, is the year we are going to act. And I want you to be prepared to act, especially if you're a young person. Each generation of South Sudanese have been faced with challenges. You are not the first to face challenges. And I know the challenges that you face are enormous. But you are not the first to face these challenges. And you should think of yourself as any less than the generation that came before you. In fact, you are in a better way. There are tools, technologies that are now available that were not available 40 years ago when the generation that went to the bush and began the liberation struggle did so. Now we have all these tools. We are interconnected. We have understanding of what is happening in other parts of the world. So it's up to us to choose to be slaves in our own country and allow individuals that are completely clueless to continue to run the country down and use our country to benefit foreigners instead of developing the capacities of South Sudanese people and making them productive. So this is entirely up to you, how you are going to be able to do that. And you have the power, unlike the generations before. There are modern technologies and modern tools that are available. Anything that used to be available before is now 10 times more available. We are interconnected to the world. We have friends from all over the world. Some of our friends are in positions of power all over the world. So this is the time now that we bring all these resources together and organize them to be able to bring a new beginning to the people of South Sudan, to create hope in our society and in our nation. And I want you, every one of you, to be prepared to act. Whether you are in diaspora, you can contribute resources. And the time is coming very soon where we're going to require your resources so that you can become an agent of change. We have been fighting, we have been sustaining our families for the last 20-something years. Those who came to the US as lost boys, those who are in Australia, those who are wherever in the world, we are sending money home all the time. How is this going to happen? How is this going to stop? It will only stop if all the South Sudanese people, especially those back home, are empowered to be able to pursue their own livelihoods. So instead of using your resources simply to sustain people, think about how can you use your resources as catalysts for change. And the time we are going to need that is coming. So prepare yourself. We're going to need individuals on the ground, full of courage, full of a heart that is faithful to the nation, to act. That can be you. That can be you. And you got to prepare yourself for that. All of us are going to be required to act so that we create a new South Sudan, so that we are able to inject life into this nation, so that we are able to revive South Sudan. And this is a time that is coming for it. So you, as a young person, as a citizen of South Sudan, prepare yourself. Think about all the mighty things that you are going to do in this year. So each one of you who has been watching this program, I want you individually to reflect and make a resolution. 2024 is coming. We have all agreed that the situation in the country cannot be endured any longer. What are you going to do? Write 1, 2, 3 things and share the 3 things that you have written. 1, 2, 3 things that you are going to do. Doesn't matter whether you are a soldier, you are a veteran, you are a businessman, you are a shopkeeper, you are a musician, you are whatever. What are you going to do? And list those 3 things. Think deeply about it. And then let's come together and act together as people of South Sudan. With that, I assure you, the year 2024 will be a beginning, will be a new beginning for the people of South Sudan, because we are going to inject new life into the people of South Sudan. We are going to inject a new life into our country. I want you, as a South Sudanese person, think critically. We want to make this new year the beginning. We want to turn the page on all the horrible things that has happened since the time when our nation became independent, and since our nation was plunged into the civil war by the leaders that we have now in the country. We want now to seize our country, take it back. What are you going to do? We want you to act, because this cannot be done by one person. It cannot be done by me alone. What I am doing here is to initiate a conversation. This conversation cannot end with me alone. It requires you. It requires your input. The way that many of you are engaging in the chat, it requires you people to think about what can be done. And let us not be afraid. What we need to remove is fear. I know in Juba people have been terrorized. All over the country people have been terrorized. People are afraid that they will be killed. But how could we say that a brave man is killed in the battle, but the cowards run away, but ultimately the cowards die, and it's the same death, whether you are killed in the battle or whether you die in your bed, sick or whatever, it's still the same death. So let's remember that. We cannot allow a country to be run through intimidation, because that will never end. And it will make this country to be a country of cowards, where individuals are afraid of their own lives. What is the purpose of life if you cannot be free? What is the purpose of it? So my people, let's remove fear. Number two, let's have courage in our heart. Through courage, we can act. Only courageous people can be free. Free to express your mind so that you speak your thoughts, not what people expect you to speak, but your own thoughts, whatever you have really thought, because your thoughts are divine. They come from God Almighty. They don't come from anywhere else, from God Almighty. Express them. Let's also be courageous in action. Mighty deeds. Let's act so that other people can learn from our action. So that those people who think they can intimidate people through tools of violence will realize that the tools of violence are not exclusively for them. They can be used by anyone. And whoever thinks that they can rule with a sword will die of the sword. Let this be very clear. And 2024 is a year we are not joking. We are prepared to act in a significant manner. And people will see it. We will all live to see how we are going to act in this 2024. And your role in this is going to be extremely enormous. I have no doubt that you are prepared to do this. Let's also have hope. Let us hope that this misery that we have lived, all this disappointment that we have gone through, will end, will not continue forever. And with its end, a new reality will be born. A new reality will be emerged, where we as people of South Sudan will finally embrace freedom, will smile again, will be proud, we will hold our heads high all over the world, walking in dignity, walking in excellence, showing to the world how great we are. Also in 2024, and by the way, this is a huge credit to our basketball team. 2024, I am extremely hopeful that our basketball team is going to do mighty things at the Olympics. We have to be grateful and give credit where it is due. Our brother Luol Deng has performed amazingly. His return to the country is the kind of patriotism that is often lacking. And he has returned to South Sudan, and he has inspired all the young South Sudanese around the world. If you look at the team that we have now, majority of them came from the diaspora. Some of them left as children from the refugee camps. Some of them were born in Australia, in the US, in Canada, but they have all returned. And Luol Deng has been amazing in leading them. And we hope that in 2024, that this basketball team is going to carry our torch, and it will show what our nation is capable to the rest of the world. Already last year, their performance was amazing. But this year, as they entered the Olympics, I want each one of you to be with them, think in solidarity. Let's believe that these individuals will act, and also let their action inspire us. In that team, they don't see themselves as Dinka or Nuer or Shuluk or Bari. They are all South Sudanese. They don't see each other by clans. The way that this government has used regionalism, Barghazalism, this nonsense has to stop. They see themselves only as South Sudanese, and this nation is for all of us. If we think that regionalism is the best way, then let's dissolve all these 10 states and let everyone go to their region. Let the Barghazal go to their region, let Equatoria go to their region, and we in Upper Nile will go also to our region. And then let's see how this will end. But if we want this nation called South Sudan to move forward, we have to stop all these colonial nonsense that's been injected into our mindset, and which the current leadership is using as a tool to manipulate people. People of South Sudan are being manipulated across the region to support a government. This is our government. What is it doing it for you? It's doing nothing. So let us hope as young people that this year is the year in which we'll begin our unity, consolidate it, and use it as a tool for us to move forward, to propel the nation forward. And let the example that the basketball team has shown be a shining light, a guiding light for each one of us of what to emulate. So I hope that all of us will rally behind this team and we will support it, and it will allow the story of South Sudan to be told in its complexity and in all the different nuances that it has. But I hope by the time that we go to the Olympics, the new political dispensation we are talking about would have already become a reality in South Sudan. Let me stop there. I have taken a lot of time. I didn't think that it was going to last for this long, but let me hope that each one and every one of you is going to have a wonderful new year. Take a time to celebrate. Thank God. Thank your ancestors. Thank everybody that has been part of your life, that has helped you in this year 2023 in whatever way that they did. And pray that 2024 will be a wonderful year, that we as people of South Sudan are going to move forward, we'll consolidate our unity, and we'll be able to have a different nation, a nation of peace, a nation of stability, a nation of hope, where our resources will be used for the benefit of the South Sudanese people, not stolen by a few individuals for their own benefits. Let's hope that we'll have a country in which its borders are secure, where life in its territories, doesn't matter in whatever part, will be secure, will be protected, where individuals will be made productive, and where we as South Sudanese people will reclaim our dignity. May God Almighty bless you. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. May 2024 be a year of blessing and a year of hope for all the people of South Sudan. Thank you very much.